So this is day 3 of using FSD, and today I took a very tricky route, and it was raining in Perth City, and I had to get past the Narrows, well, near the Narrows Bridge. If you guys are in Perth, you'll know that that's a very, very tricky area. Now, the first problem was that the car, Tesla was trying to get into, I'm gonna have to give the car a name at this point. Anyway, the car was trying to get into the right lane, and it didn't really need to get into the right lane as we were coming off Murray Street onto the freeway. So it would have been it would have been the wrong lane essentially. So that was one mistake. The other thing that so I had to turn it off, and basically, well, I stopped the signal, and then it would just keep trying to signal right, and we were like sort of in a traffic jam situation. So it's really weird, kind of embarrassing having your signal on the entire time when the cars aren't moving anywhere. Anyway, I turned it off eventually, and then I took over. First world problems. Anyway, then the other problem that it had was that as it was getting up towards the it did choose the right lane, I mean the correct lane, by the time we got past the Narrows Bridge area, so that was good. But the other problem I had today was that the speed limit was 80 on Tonkin Highway, was 100, sorry, on Tonkin Highway, but then the car just decided to keep going at 80. And even on the screen it says like, it says 100, but then it would go at 80. So you'd have to step on the pedal to get it to go up to the 100. Apart from that, it actually, I read before that FSD may not work very well when it's raining, but I think it actually works perfectly well. I mean, today was raining, and it was a traffic jam, and it was actually really difficult conditions. I have to be honest, I was pretty nervous throughout the entire drive. I did have to stop a few times, but only because the car is basically driving like a bot, like when you play computer games. I don't know how to describe it, but it just, it drives like a bot. It's very smooth and takes a long time to make certain decisions, which as a human being, you just don't drive like that. Well, at least I don't. I'd say it's safe, but it could get annoying for other people around you in certain situations. I'd have to show you specific examples, but I think if you get FSD, you'll know what I mean. So it's really good, but today I'd have to give it like 80%, because I reckon 20% of the time I was kind of worried it was going to do the wrong thing. And there are some certain tricky situations especially when you're in a traffic jam, that as a human driver, you have to deal with other humans. So they're just little things that as humans you would do differently than, like merging lanes and that sort of thing, where as a human you know what to do, but the computer just makes weird decisions. Like sort of, it almost doesn't, like it doesn't leave room for people to, when they're coming into the merging lane, and little things like that, which could become big things if the human driver just decided to stop suddenly. So things like that. Apart from that though, I would report that the rain is not an issue. The speed limit thing is still an issue at times. It handled the right turn on a traffic light really well, so that was good. In general, it handles the traffic lights really well, and the roundabouts it handles really well. Again, it's probably on the more cautious side, which is what you want from a robot driving your car. So sometimes you waited for like 3 cars to go by. As a human, I would have probably gone a bit earlier, but that's not a deal breaker. On the whole, I guess if I was comatose at the back there, and you let the car drive by itself, would it have made it from beginning to end? It probably would have, I think it might have. I'm not 100% sure. It would have annoyed a few people along the way if I didn't intervene, but overall, rain, no problems. I think the rain issue is not a problem. So anyway, that's my day 3, and I think as you get used. Oh, the other thing to mention is that weirdly it says keep your hands on the steering wheel, and I've commented on this before, but when you put, like, I don't really know what to do with my hands, because this car is just literally driving all the time, and if you nudge it a little bit too much, then it will just go off, and then it will stop the FSD, and then it'll ask you why you took it off FSD. So I don't yeah, I'm not really sure what to do with my hands. I see on the videos people like just put their hands on their laps, which I don't think you're supposed to do that. Or you just sort of lightly hold with your hands, lightly hold onto the steering wheel, like kind of like this. It's kind of like, I think, just ready at any time to take over. But like putting your hands up here is kind of weird because it's kind of moving. And then if you put a bit of force, like I said, you'll actually just stop the auto drive, which is actually quite dangerous to do in the middle of a turn or something like that. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what to do with my hands. But anyway, first world problems. Overall, still very impressed. I am considering paying the full amount up front. But that's a discussion for another day. Subscription versus buying the whole thing. Apparently, unsupervised FSD will be coming at some point. If anyone knows anything more about that, please comment. And I remember Elon Musk years ago saying that he reckons that these cars would be allowed to become robo-taxis at some point. I don't see that happening in Australia anytime soon. But you know, that would be amazing, I guess, if I could like rent out this car to be an Uber. I think there's a lot of implications of that. My car would probably get quite dirty during the day. I'm not sure, but and I guess Uber would getting an Uber would be really cheap at that point, and a lot of people lose their jobs, so that's kind of scary and sad. Anyway, watch this space. Overall, I'm very impressed with FSD, and day 3 is going good.